And the first speaker for the afternoon is Ashley Fraser. Ashley is from Victoria, where he's involved in a seed processing and processed grains business. So if you could all please welcome Ashley.
Thanks very much, John. Okay, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Ashley Fraser, and I'm a 2012 Nuffield Scholar, and my study topic was seed enhancements. I'd really like to thank my sponsor, GRDC, for funding my journey around the world and letting me bring back the knowledge to share with you all. I really need to thank my family, particularly my wife Pam, and my two little boys, the eldest one Hugh and youngest one Jack. I know they're a fair old handful, and it was an no-mean task for Pam to handle those while I was away. I also need to thank my extended family and staff for looking after the business while I was gone. It was much appreciated. Nuffield, Australia, International, and in particular Jim and Chantel. Without their assistance and the Nuffield network, it wouldn't have been possible. I also need to thank the companies and researchers and industry bodies that allowed me into their doors and shared their knowledge with me. Our family farm is a mixed cropping seed business based in the Rutherglen in northeast Victoria. It consists of 5 family units across 4 generations, so it's quite a family involvement. We crop over 3,000 hectares in the Rutherglen area. That's a mixture of 3/4 owned land and 1/4 of leased country. We also do contract seed productions throughout the Riverina and Murray irrigation areas. We also have a seed processing facility, and we also run a small feedlot, about 500 head, where we utilise the byproducts from our seed processing facility, and we also run 300 breeders, but we have those on agistment up near Tumen. This is our seed processing facility. It's, as I said, based 5 kilometres south of Rutherglen, and where I spend most of my time. At the processing facility, we do a range of cereals: canola, lupins, beans, maize, lucerne, clovers and grasses. Also have the processing facility there. Also, we do a range of seed coating and a seed enhancement plant. We also do a range of feed products in crushed and kibbled and rolled grains, and we sell those as straight feeds, as well as in our bird seed and small animal range of feeds. And a large chunk of our business is simply just contract seed processing and packing. We also have a grape seed plant where we actually take grape markers and byproduct from the winery and dry it down and to a point where we can separate the seed from it and then export the seed to China. My journey with this great bunch of lads and one lady, Kelly, it was an honour to travel around the world with these guys, and appreciate them, call them friends now. Journey took me through Philippines and Hong Kong. I found the rice production and processing extremely interesting, something I hadn't really looked at before. China, I've been to many times, and it's a place it's quite close to me. And I always tell everyone when I go to China that they've been trading for 1,000 years, and they're really, really good at it. And that was no more evident than when Jim tried to barter with a guy over some bananas, and Jim got completely rolled. Up the top there was a company I've dealt with for the last 8 years, Mao Shen Group. They were privatised 10 years ago, and they're now a family company. And they're just recently undergoing an expansion, and their new factory is 336,000 square metres. 33 hectares under roof, which will now make them the largest seed grain milling equipment manufacturer in the world. No mean feat. My Nuffield journey also yielded a good manufacturer in colour sorting machines, and equal to that of anything out of Europe and the US, but at a quarter of the price. It was quite a good find. And we also found Chairman Mao's long lost son. I got up into continental Europe and Italy, Austria, Switzerland, France, Germany, and there I spoke to a lot of researchers, got into a lot of facilities, and I was really impressed with which the knowledge that they shared. Also looked at buckwheat in a cropping rotation, that was interesting, and also pumpkin seed production. USA and Canada, again a lot of seed talk, but also one thing I really took home out of the US and Canada was a fantastic insight into evaluating our products. England and Ireland, again, some very impressive processing facilities, in coating especially. And what I tried to do with my Nuffield study was actually build a toolbox of seed enhancements and technology that we can use, so that when we get an issue, we can say, okay, well, if I use that and that and that, well, then I might have a chance of solving this issue. But when we look at that, we need to look at what are the benefits going to be? Is it establishment, crop vigour, pest management? How's that integrated with what I'm currently doing? And also the environmental impact, and is there any advantages to be gained there? We also need to be respective of the limitations that are involved. Can I get enough on that seed to actually reverse the problem I'm having in the soil, or is it a bigger issue with the soil? And it's one thing that kept coming through, that every time I got into a detailed conversation, we ended up back in a soil nutrition argument. Or discussion, I should say. But it also needs to be cost effective. At the end of the day, there is a commercial reality to everything. But to go forward, this is a busy slide, I know, but it's where I want to try and explain the complexity of what we're trying to achieve. You've got all the different stages and seed factors, external factors from seeding equipment, plantability of seed, germ, vigour response, all those sorts of things. And then you've got what we put the seed through, so from harvesting and augers and grading and coating, and at the end of all that, the seed still wants to grow. It's amazing stuff. But what's in the toolbox? We've got chemistry, we've got mechanical manipulation of both seed and seed bed, and there's also new technologies in heat treatment coming around, and priming. When we look at chemistry, we've got your fungicides, insecticides, and your maticides, and those we're very familiar with already. I guess some of the advancements in that is that we're getting all those three components of the chemistry in one formulation, and those formulations are getting better and better all the time, and that's exciting. But you'll get some real benefits in the rhizobia inoculants and the beneficial bacteria in your bacillus strains and so forth, which really show some true potential. And with that, we need to really get an understanding of how that interaction is within the soil. Trace elements, that was something that was very dear to me when I left, and I learned an enormous amount about with regards to chelated trace elements. And you need to have your trace elements in a chelated form, therefore to make them available to the plant. Powders was another interesting one. Typically we use lime, talc and mica powder in our seed coatings, and that's pretty much a standard. When I looked at in France with the sugar beet guys, they actually were using a carbon-based powder, which when I highlighted what they were doing, they kind of didn't tell me too much after that. But it was very interesting. I think there's a lot more in that than they're letting on. Also, when I looked at using products like zeolite and so forth, where we can coat the seed and actually have a moisture harvesting property to the coating of the seed, then that helps counteract the use of ammonium-based fertilisers when they're placed next to the seed. Then there was different types of mica powder that were used, where I found a terrific supplier actually in China, where they're using, instead of using pigments in the mica powder, actually using titanium dioxide, using the particle thickness in the titanium dioxide to actually give you the colour, which is extremely interesting. What that also did was give the seed a metallic finish, which then made it less attractive for birds. So that was something that was interesting. When we look at seed coatings, you have an enormous raft of stages of coating. So you've got everything from film coating at the top there, right through encrusting, and then down to the full build-up pills, which have an enormous amount of ingredients built around the seed, and which are typically the end of the scale there, what they call standard pill, is where we're using horticulture. Manipulation of the seed bed. Now this crop was planted on the same day. And this is a Samco system in Ireland. And what they're doing there is putting a biodegradable plastic down and creating an artificial microclimate and actually artificially heating the seed bed, which got the seed away a lot faster. And the theory behind this is to actually get the plant through its vegetative stage before it wants to set grain, and therefore put all of its energy into grain production. And this had a typical yield gain of 6 tonne to the hectare in maize with an increase of starch of 12%. So it's pretty significant figures. Then I got up into Norway, where I looked at the cooperative. Now these guys are kind of living the dream in that they had 50% of the market. And that economy of scale meant you could do a lot of things. But it was interesting, you notice the silo there. Well, all the byproducts from the seed processing facility were fed into that silo, which then had a boiler at the bottom of it, which not only powered that factory, but it powered the nearby township. And that was really good use of byproduct. But what I was looking at there was thermoseed. And thermoseed is where you treat the seed with a hot, humidified air for a given time. And what we're trying to do there is disinfect the seed, and they actually carried that through the whole market chain, right? Because the cooperative owns all the chemical, all the crop inputs, plus they receive the grain and then they own the bakery that sells to the supermarket. Then they actually, on the loaf of bread that you bought, you actually had a little logo there that said that this bread was made from the cleanest seed in the world. So it was an interesting market concept. With thermoseed, now you'll see the line, the dotted line that comes down on the left, that's where we get disinfection of the actual seed from the fungi. And then you've got a window where it's effective, and then if you go past that window, you then start to get drop off in germination, which is the solid line on the right. And that same theory is across all heat treatments. So you get to a point where you need, or mechanical seed mechanical manipulation, whereby you don't want to get too close to the embryo where you get drop off in the germination. So with other new technologies that we looked at was electrode beam. Now that's a use of an electromagnetic beam whereby the seed is attacked in a mechanical format. It's actually strong enough that it can actually disfigure the seed from the outside. But again, you've got to be very careful that you don't affect the embryo, you can affect germination. Gas-fired infrared, that's the use of a non-flamed LPG or natural gas-fired radiant heat. Now it's the heat that's actually, the key to this one is actually the heat wave. And the heat wave can affect either, it can, in testing and the data that I've seen so far, normally seed is killed at 80 degrees. Well, this has been able to go out to 170 degrees and not affect germination. So I see a lot of variability and adjustability in this technology, which is exciting. So my key findings is we really need to understand the interaction in the soil. We need to understand that carbon-nitrogen ratio, the interaction between the nutrients, the microbial activity, the inoculants, and what's really going on at the soil-root interface. Trace elements, they've got to be in a gelated form. This is just so that trace elements aren't locked up immediately when they go into the soil and they remain plant available. Biological treatments, I really think that this is the future to reduce plant stress and promote vigour. And most of all, I think we need a lot more independent research and publicly available data. Opportunities, we won't go jumping off the cliff, let's just say. Well, I think the future's bright. Some of the things that we're doing within our business is we're actually building a different type of prototype gas infrared machine where we've got an infinite amount of adjustability to really work. There's a lot of different avenues with that gas-fired infrared. I think will have a huge impact in what we do. Also saw a lot of opportunity for us in our business with ancient and alternative grains and alternative crop production to meet some niche markets. And also an enormous amount of opportunity there for us to further vertically integrate our business. Okay, I'd like to thank the family. Thanks, Pete.